Hello, creators and art aficionados. This is Cyan, the tiny handed artist, and today we are doing part 2 of the ink layer video. In the previous video, we were doing the classic line art. In this one, we're going to be using a sketch method, which is one of my personal favorites because it's very energetic, very lively, and you can use it mostly when you want to get when you have that itch to get a drawing done, but you really don't want to be spending hours upon hours on making a fully rendered drawing with incredibly trying to keep neat lines. Here you kind of get to go wild and get to be more expressive with the part that's supposed to just provide a guideline. That's the GIF in the sketch version. Now, I have two weapons of choice that I like to use. One of them is a preference, but I usually like to use this brush, which, let me bring it up for the pop-up, Inksumi, and this one, which is a slightly thinner version of the same thing, which is Ink 7 Brush Rough. There are two differences. I'm going to try and draw heavy with this one so you can see. This one's a lot more like a thick chalk charcoal line, while this one is a bit smoother, but if you were to zoom in, it's a little rough looking. One of my personal favorites. Personal recommendation for doing the jawline and any of the stronger parts of the body, you want to use this nice thick brush. And the way you start really is just going at it. Unless you were to draw a line right across the face, there's really no erasing. It's just going nuts. It's a stress-free version of art. This particular art style works great with flat colors because of the energy that the ink carries. It allows for a lot more, much simpler color schemes, and they could add a nice layer of delicacy to it. There's such beauty and fun in all different versions of art using the same style. I completely recommend to experiment with them because you can come up with some really interesting things. Currently I'm debating whether I want to do the same makeup theme as with this character. Perhaps. See, this one's too thick for it. Although I can make a nice dramatic wing, it just looks a little je ne sais quoi, just no. This one is a bit more delicate, but you can still get the rougher lines. What I suggest, since this drawing will be having flat color, is that this one we're going to do is slightly different to this one, so that they both have their own versions, their own uniqueness to them. So in this one, what we might do is go a little more crazy with the eyelashes. Maybe go stronger. With ink drawings like this that are more sketches, eyelash length tends to go a bit wild. I might use the symmetry tool to make sure it's being difficult with me. To ensure that where did the symmetry tool go? Oh dear. Disappeared. Where'd it go? Get back here. There we go. See, it was hidden. I knew it. Alright, rascal, get on this side. A little tip so you don't have to be using these drag bars here that could be incredibly annoying. Click the space bar and you can drag, see? Drag all the way over here. There you go. Now then, We'll put this one center mass around the middle of the jaw. And now we will just kind of skate over what we already drew and get nice even lash lines. This will just provide a bit of a benchmark for us, just so we can get nice even lashes. I normally don't like to use the symmetry tool, but I'm feeling very perfectionistic today, so we're going to use the symmetry tool. There we go. Now we turn it off and we just get back to coloring these beautiful eyes. This person is definitely giving Twiggy. In addition to digital art tutorials, in the future I will do some on traditional art. For those of you that are not a big fan of the drawing tablet but still want to get in those drawings, those sketches. This is me clicking the E key because I do not want to have to be reaching up and down just for to get to the same tool. Alright, here we have our upper lash line, and now we're just going to draw the lower lashes. I think just like the lash drawing, we're going to give this person a nice little twiggy lower lash line. And we can go a little bit wispier with the lash lines. This one looks a bit more typical to Twiggy, who had the sparser, much wispier lower lash lines than the line art, the classic line art version had. Now when you accidentally click the wrong key. Here we go. Pupils. In the ink one, the line art version, I sometimes will draw the pupil. Other times if I want to do a nice solid color, I will generally not do the pupil but end up drawing it anyway, just with shading and not so much a solid circle like this. That's an exaggeration. But when you're using sketch ink, you might want to draw them out, because in the same layer as the ink, you're going to shade them in. Just like you're going to shade in the whole eye. Give it a nice bit of shadow so it doesn't look so stark. Why did Iron Man come to mind when I said stark? I'm not even a Marvel watcher. What TV does to you. Honestly, my drawing tablet can make ASMR. Just a bit more shadow on this end, just to make it more even. See what I'm doing here? Next step, we're going to do some nice hard lines on this nose over here. And notice how I'm being a bit more free-spirited with the lines, not really caring about symmetry or perfection or anything like that. I forgot actually to bring down the opacity of this layer. See, now you can see the ink a lot better. Back to the sketching. And here's something fun that we do not do in the classic line art layer, which will be adding shadow. Just like in the eyes, I'm going to add a whole bunch of shadow over here, just to add a bit of interest. Something that you will notice sometimes in my style is that I will do a black upper lip, especially when it comes to these ink drawings, ink sketches, because I feel like it just is so dramatic, fits the gothic part of my aesthetic. I just am so drawn to it. There's something so enigmatic and attracting to the dark. There we go. Now if you feel like this black section, I'm aware that it's a very wide lip, so what you might want to do is add a little, erase a tiny bit for you to add some highlights. See? And this will make the lip look a lot less flat, like just a flat black blob. Here it just has a bit more dimension now. Over here, this area, I'm coloring it down a lot stronger, and we're going to shade it in, like so. You gotta define where your light is hitting in this layer. Let's assume that it's hitting in this way. So we're going to put all the shadows primarily on this side of the face. First, we're going to quickly wrap up on the inking of the ears. Right here. Oops. There you go. Over here, we're going to add some shading, especially at this base of the ear right here because it's on the back. On a good portion hidden from the head. So most of this will be thoroughly shaded over here. And then the inner parts will be much more darkly shaded. This depends on how much of an ink sketch you're making this. Because if you're going to add a good bit of color, you might not want to shade as darkly. But if you're going to leave it bare, you want those lines to be impactful. You want this to not just be an ink line, but an ink masterpiece. So you want to give it as much shadowing, as much dimension as possible, since there won't be any color to be doing that for you. You're going to be relying on the ink layer only for to do all this attention grabbing. See, on this layer, if you wanted to highlight the bones of the nose, you could, because it would totally go for it. Forgot the eye over here. And now we're going to do an eyebrow. Since we're doing this all in ink, I think I'm going to do a nice black eyebrow, arching mildly. Rather thin at the base. Now, whenever you have an eyebrow over here that's kind of pushing in, what you want to do is a little bit of frown lines. There we go. A helpful tip is sketching out the shadows that you're going to put on the face, especially with this thinner brush. Under eye bags. And then very lightly, very crucial, is the amount of pressure you put on the brush. I'm barely putting any pressure here. It may look a little strange. It's one of those things where it gets worse before it gets better. Right now it looks like she's got half of a Batman mask on. I'm going to do a tiny shadow over here for the nostril. Carry it on all over here to follow the shape of the chin. You don't always have to stick to the lines that you set for shadows. These eyes are a bit more hooded, I would suppose. So we're going to give a bit of shadow over here, just for to add to the drama. Erase over here since there's a bit of frown line. Beauty mark. I don't know why I got so tempted to do that. This person was just giving like, I need a beauty mark vibes. We'll give another one here. That one's a little thick. Going for realistic. Maybe one above the eyebrow. Just give nice little touches to the skin. And maybe you want to do some fainter ones, you know? Give the skin texture. All our skin is textured. You can see pores, you can see beauty marks, you can see old scars from pimples and blackheads. That's what normal skin is. Here we are moving on to the shoulders. Something that is just so incredibly satisfying, more satisfying in my personal opinion than a chocolate brownie, is drawing out the under chin neck shadow. There's just nothing more satisfying, because no matter if you are fully rendering or sketching, you always color this shadow, so you always get that satisfaction. Now, because this is in a way where the light is hitting, I'm going to lighten it up a bit on this side because it's getting a bit strong, and this is the side with the most light. See what I'm doing here? You can darken it here, but not too much on this side, because this is the side where it gets some light, but you still get a shadow. So this doesn't look like some weird stain. We have to continue the shadow following this part of the face. Oops, I zoomed in a little too much. There we go. So you can assume that all this part of the collarbone would be shaded in. This back part more so than the inner. This part also would be shaded in very strongly, as so. Contorting returns, because I do not want to bring up the Docker. Got a little snake moment there. There we go. Okay, we have shaded in successfully this part of the shoulder. We're going to add in a little bit of the that's the collarbone. My pardons. This is the shoulder. We're shading that in just the slightest bit. Give a little bit of erasing just for to not make it too strong, because this, although it does have shadow, it's not completely cast in shadow. And then we get some fun lines over here. marking off the collarbones that jut out just a little bit in this character. Now over here, even though this is the part that's getting the light, you want to shadow this part just the slightest bit. So you want to draw out the part that you're going to shadow and then fill it in lightly with the brush. And really, there we have it. That is how you make a drawing with ink sketching instead of traditional line art. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like and subscribe, for I will be making more content, more tutorials, and I will also be publishing soon some art projects that I have stashed in this brain of mine that I have been dying to bring to life with this tablet. I hope to see you all soon. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.